The player who knew my address. When I was 16, the summer before junior year, I got into the habit of playing Fortnite late at night. Most nights, that was just how I relaxed. Headphones on, volume turned up, my little corner of the world until my parents yelled that it was past midnight for the third time in a week. I'd usually play alone, just dropping into matches, messing around with random players I didn't know much about. But this one summer, I remember it exactly, there was this one stranger who kept teaming up with me. I never added him anywhere else, just the game. At first, it was nothing out of the ordinary. You meet someone in-game, they're decent, and you stick with them for a few rounds. I called him Sharpshooter 46. He was good, not annoyingly so, no try-hard vibes, just someone who knew the game well. We didn't talk much. Every now and then, we'd share a quick voice chat, not even coordinated strategies, mostly just casual small talk about the game or the current patch. One night, around 11:30, I heard a soft ping through my headset. "Hey Eli," he said. I hadn't told him my real name, but I guess my Xbox profile was public, or maybe I had it set somewhere unintentionally. I thought it was just the username I chose for the account, which was my last name, but I hadn't expected anyone to use it directly. "Yeah," I answered, a little surprised. I'm not the kind of guy who shares random details with people online. It always felt weird, but he seemed chill. I shrugged and typed back, "Just home." I was hoping it would close the topic. But then he said, "Not just home. I mean like the city or..." "That's enough." I cut in. I didn't want to share more than that. He stopped talking for a bit and we finished the match. After that, I muted him. I didn't want to deal with someone getting too personal, so I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. Over the next few days, he kept showing up. Almost every night, he'd join my game. Sometimes he'd send me messages before the game started, even while I was still just on the main menu, like he knew when I'd be online. I ignored most of the messages, hoping he'd get bored and move on. Then one night while we were playing, I heard the voice again, quieter this time. "Eli, I know where you live." It caught me off guard. My eyes darted to the mic button to mute him, but I hesitated. "You don't," I said, trying to laugh it off. "Come on, man. Look up," he said. I glanced past my monitor toward the window in my room, half expecting someone to be outside because that's what anyone would do after a creepy comment like that. But nothing was there. It was just a quiet summer night, dim streetlights across the street. "Dude, if you're messing with me, it's not funny," I said. My voice wasn't steady anymore. "Check your front door. I dropped something." I grabbed my phone and texted my mom, trying to sound casual. "Hey, can you check if anything's outside the front door?" "Nope," she replied a few minutes later. I told the guy that. He just laughed softly through the headset. At that point, I started getting legitimately nervous. I closed Fortnite and went offline for the night. I thought it was someone trolling me, but the way they talked, they knew my name, claimed to know where I was. It felt personal. The next day at school, I told a couple of friends about it. They suggested blocking the account or switching my gamertag. Easy enough. I did both. I blocked Sharpshooter 46 and changed my username to Silent Eli. For a few days, I didn't hear from him. I started to relax. Then that Saturday night, I logged in just to check if anyone was around. I wasn't planning to play, maybe just watch some streams or something. But before I could switch games, I got a whisper message. "Nice try, but I found your new name." I froze. How could someone track my new username if I hadn't told anyone? Here's the thing about Fortnite. There's a huge community, millions of players, but someone targeting me specifically, it wasn't just some random player. I told my parents, showed them the messages. That's when things got real. My mom called the police. I wasn't sure if they'd take it seriously, but they did. They said people could do some serious digging online, sometimes more than you'd expect. They told me not to respond to the messages and to keep records. Over the next few nights, the messages kept coming, but they changed. Instead of just creepy whispers about knowing my location, they started describing things I knew only because I lived there. The cracked sidewalk in front of our house, the neighbor's big black dog, the street light that sometimes flickered after a rainstorm. One night, the guy told me he was close, just down the block. I didn't sleep much that week. I kept the curtains closed and double-checked every door and window before going to bed. I muted my game chat, shrunk nighttime play sessions to 10 minutes or less, and always had my phone nearby. The police set up some traps, tried to trace the IP addresses from the messages. It was tricky because he used VPNs, fake accounts, and even different platforms to contact me. He knew how to cover his tracks. But eventually, a break came when the police connected a payment from a Fortnite creator pack to an account linked to a nearby town. They cross-referenced it with the IP logs. The guy was a 22-year-old recluse, living about 20 miles away. When the cops showed up at his place, it was like something out of a movie. His room was filled with gaming gear, but also layers of maps, notes, and photos. Among them, pictures taken near my house. The police said he was obsessed with finding players he targeted online in real life. He admitted to using the game to trick me into revealing small details and stalking me after. I was told the guy had a history of similar behavior. The officers arrested him and charged him with harassment and stalking. After that, things calmed down, even though my parents and I got security cameras installed on the house. Looking back, it's easy to say it was a freak, one-in-a-million incident. But the strangest part is how ordinary it all began. Me, just a 16-year-old gamer who was only trying to kill time in a video game. The player who knew my address wasn't some ghost or monster. It was just a guy who spent hours digging for information about a stranger online. That made it scarier, because now, every time I log in, even years later, I wonder, who else out there is playing, not just to have fun in the game, but to find someone, to learn enough to cross the line from digital to real life. The friend request. This all happened during winter break when I was 17. My three closest friends, Carter, Miles, and Jaden, and I spent most nights online together. We played all sorts of games: Fortnite, Minecraft, and a handful of random horror games we found while scrolling through forums and game sites. It was just something to keep us busy, away from the cold and the usual holiday chaos at home. Our group was pretty tight. We'd known each other since middle school, and even though we had our usual squabbles, it was normal teenage stuff. We'd spent countless hours chatting, joking, trash-talking, and occasionally getting way too competitive about who built the best Minecraft fortress or who got the most kills in Fortnite. One night, about a week into break, we were all on a call on Discord, playing some obscure horror game Jaden had found. It was nothing fancy, just a low-budget indie thing where a little pixelated character walks through a haunted forest at night. Jaden messaged in the chat that someone just sent him a friend request out of nowhere. He showed us the username, SilentWatcher84 or something like that. None of us recognized it. "Do you know this guy?" Carter asked. Jaden shrugged. "No idea. I think I played with some randoms earlier today. Maybe it was one of them." I remember laughing it off a bit. That's not unusual. We all get random friend requests from people we hardly know. It's just part of gaming. Jaden accepted the request since the guy was already messaging him and seemed pretty friendly. The guy introduced himself as Lance, just a regular gamer from some other state apparently. At first, the messages were pretty normal, talking about favorite games, strategies, and stuff. Lance even said he played Minecraft and liked building redstone machines, which got us curious. Carter, Miles, Jaden, and I decided to invite Lance into our Discord voice chat the next night, just to see what he was like. We figured it'd be cool to have a new player join us and maybe introduce some fresh ideas or new games. That second night started out the same as usual. The four of us hopped on, and around 9 p.m., Lance joined the voice chat. His voice was calm, regular teenage guy tone, no weird pauses or anything. We introduced ourselves, joked around a bit, and then started a Fortnite match together. The gameplay was fine. He wasn't amazing, but pretty decent, and we let him join squads just to keep things chill. As the games went on, Lance would say stuff like, "Hey, I'm near your base in Minecraft," or "Watch your six, Jaden," during Fortnite. Just stuff you'd expect when playing on a team. After a few nights of playing, Lance started sharing more personal stuff during our calls. He talked about his school, how his parents worked long hours, and how he didn't have many friends offline. We all shared similar things. Honestly, it made him feel kind of relatable and even a little vulnerable, so we all just listened and joked around like we'd known him for years. But here's where it slowly started to get weird. One night, Lance mentioned something oddly specific. He said he'd been driving past the neighborhood where Jaden lived and recognized the street names. Jaden laughed it off, told him, "Dude, I don't think you live anywhere near here." Lance said he must have seen it in a video or somewhere. That caught my attention. At first, I didn't say anything, but later on, I started thinking about it. How did a random gamer guy from another state know the exact names of the streets where my best friend Jaden actually lived? I asked Jaden if he'd ever given out details about his address online. Jaden said no. We all checked our Twitch streams, profiles, and stuff, which Jaden sometimes streamed, and nothing showed where he lived. Then a few days after that, it got even creepier. One night, Miles got a message on Instagram from a Lance too, except this was a different account than the gamer profile. The pictures on this new Instagram account were all blurry, grainy shots of a house, like security camera footage, and occasional photos of a kid that looked exactly like Miles, but from angles you wouldn't expect from friend photos. Miles showed us and was immediately freaked out. The messages were personal too. A couple said things like, "Saw you today, and you're really good at the game." We all decided to ask Lance about it in our next Discord call. When we confronted him, Lance got weirdly quiet. Then he said, "Maybe I just noticed you at the mall or something." That night, Jaden and Carter did some digging. They pulled up Lance's gamer profile and found out a few things didn't add up. The IP location he gave during the call tracked to somewhere near our town. Not where he said, far from it. That's when we started connecting the dots. No one had thought this through when we first invited Lance in. Someone online just sliding right into our calls, chatting with us like he was one of the crew, sharing personal details that got more specific by the day. We reported the account to Discord and the game platforms, but Lance went silent immediately after. No more messages, no joining calls. For a few days, we thought maybe he just figured out we knew and left. But the unease stayed. Then one night, Carter's mom noticed a car outside their house at 2 a.m. while he was on the phone with us. The car's headlights were off, but sat there for about 20 minutes. The police were called. They did a sweep, found nothing, said it might have just been a neighbor or someone messing around. Only afterward did Carter tell us something he hadn't said before. A few days prior, Lance had mentioned knowing the layout of Carter's house specifically. Rooms, where the garage is, even the model of their family car. Miles and Jaden had heard that too, but dismissed it, again thinking Lance had just looked it up online. We weren't so sure anymore. At that point, we agreed not to play with anyone new. We even set the Discord server to private and banned Lance from any group chats. A couple of weeks later, the police showed up at Jaden's door. They asked the usual questions about the messages, the friend request, whether anyone felt unsafe or was being threatened. They told us that Lance was actually the online handle of a 28-year-old named Derek Collins, living just a few blocks from Jaden's neighborhood. The IP addresses matched his home. Turns out Derek had a long history of stalking online gamers, mostly teens, with a disturbing obsession for immersing himself in their lives. He would create profiles, pretend to be a fellow gamer, slowly earn trust, then start gathering personal info. In some cases, he'd show up near their homes, hoping to be noticed. The photos Miles got, those were from a hidden camera Derek had set up outside Miles' house, screenshots we never wanted to see. After some months of investigation, the police finally arrested Derek. They found a huge collection of surveillance videos and camera gear at his place, along with multiple fake accounts. He wasn't supernatural or some myth, just a guy with too much time and a dangerous fixation. When the cops told us, it hit me how easily someone unknown just slid their way into our nightly group like they belonged. How comfortable we'd gotten talking to Lance without question. How, in just a few weeks, we unknowingly invited someone who had been watching us, learning every little detail. We all felt violated, but mostly I felt scared about how normal it all seemed at first. He wasn't some masked stranger. He was just a regular voice on the call, a funny gamer dude. But behind that screen was someone else entirely. This experience taught me how careful you have to be online, not just about what you share, but who you trust. Because sometimes the person you think is a new friend might be watching you, closer than you ever imagined. And that's a kind of horror nobody can prepare you for. The Minecraft server nobody owned. Back in my sophomore year of high school, me and my two best friends, Logan and Chris, spent a lot of time playing Minecraft. Not just casual runs either. We played almost every night, usually starting sometime after dinner and logging off well past midnight. We'd cycle through every kind of world: survival, factions, skyblock, parkour maps, you name it. We even built private servers ourselves a couple times, but mostly just stuck to official realms or well-known multiplayer servers. One night, probably late October, we ended up on a private server none of us had heard of before. It was weird how we found it. Chris got a message in one of the game chat groups we used, some anonymous invite with a server IP and a password. No description, no clue who was running it, just the address and a simple note, "Try this one." Logan was the first to sound off. "You guys sure about this? We've always stuck to legit servers or ones run by people we know." I agreed with him. "Yeah, it's kinda sketchy, but what if it's something cool? We've played all the big ones. Maybe this is new." Chris, always the adventurous one, already had the server details typed in. "Come on guys, it's probably just a regular world. I'm logging in now." We all joined, one by one, logging into the same private Minecraft world with the IP and password Chris sent. What we landed on was odd. The spawn point was a plain flat world with nothing but a single oak tree at the center, like default settings but stripped bare. No structures, no mobs. I typed, "Hello? Anyone here?" No reply. Logan checked the player list. It says there's one other player on the server, some guy named BuilderX23, but I don't see him anywhere. Chris called out, "Maybe he's invisible or something." He tried walking around, but the guy never appeared. The next few hours went by with us building small things by the tree, testing the land and trying to find anything interesting. No animals spawned. The day-night cycle shifted normally, but the world felt barren, like it was waiting for something. Around midnight, we started to feel weird about the server itself. No chat responses, the only other player staying silent, never moving out of the spot he spawned in at the far edge of the map. When we moved closer to where BuilderX23 stood, the coordinates always read exactly the same. He wasn't shifting. I asked Logan, "Think this server's abandoned?" He shook his head. "If it were, why is that player still showing? And why did Chris get a private message with the IP and password if it's empty?" "Maybe it's a setup," Chris suggested lightly. "Like a trap or something, but we have nothing on it." We kept logging in over the next couple nights, expecting the place to grow with activity or at least have some kind of server message or map to explore. Nothing. Then Logan did something weird. He found a command block in his inventory the third night, though none of us had enabled cheats or used command blocks before. Trying it out, he discovered a function that could write messages to the server log. He sent a simple message, "Hello? Are you there?" Within seconds, the server returned a message that wasn't in the in-game chat, but showed in the admin log. Player activity observed. Analyzing. That stopped us cold. We spent hours after that trying to get any more messages. Every typed command or chat message we sent had no reply, but when we used the command block to send messages, it sometimes replied in the logs. Those replies were usually short and bland. Just noted observations like, movement patterns consistent, speech cadence normal, or friends identified. It felt like someone behind the server was watching us, all of us individually, including our in-game behavior and how we interacted with each other. We decided to poke around the server files. Chris is pretty tech-savvy, and we tried to get admin access or at least find the owner. But the files were locked down in ways too complex for us to break, and no domain registration showed any personal info. Whoever they were, they had set up the server specifically to monitor players' actions without letting the players know. The whole thing felt less like a game and more like some weird experiment. The next night I asked in the command block message, "Why are you watching us?" The server replied after maybe 5 minutes, "Subject group selected for data acquisition. Compliance recommended." At that point, Logan freaked out. "Are you kidding me? They're watching us?" Chris shrugged, trying to calm us. "Maybe it's some developer testing new AI. You know, studying how players interact naturally." But the thought settled in my stomach like an anchor. What if this was worse? What if someone was collecting everything about us, our habits, our chats, conversations in real life too? Around that week, I noticed something strange with my phone. Random apps I never opened would crash or glitch out. My browser history had new entries, empty ones. I asked Logan, and he said the same thing happened to him too. "The server's getting into our devices?" I asked. "Maybe we gave it permission somehow. Chris suggested, but none of us had deliberately shared anything with it. That's when my paranoia took a real turn. We stopped playing for a night or two, but couldn't help but check in again, hoping this was just a prank or a bug. Only it wasn't. Each time we came back, the server logged more info. We found some files named with our usernames, filled with screenshots. Screenshots of our game screens, voice chat transcripts from Discord, even some snippets of personal info that we'd never typed in the game. That was when we decided it was time to tell someone. After school the next day, we went to the principal and explained what we'd found. They were skeptical at first. After all, it was just a game. But technology teachers started looking into it and eventually contacted the police cybercrime unit. The cops traced the server to a rented data center in a city several hours away. After a week-long investigation, they arrested a guy, a former software engineer fired from a game studio for creepy behavior. He'd been running the server as a way to study how teenagers played online games, how they formed friendships in social groups, all without telling them. His methods weren't supernatural, or even that high-tech in the grand scheme, but he'd rigged the server with hidden code, silently recording everything, injecting tracking scripts into players' devices whenever they connected. When the police showed up at his apartment, they found dozens of monitors with recordings of players, files documenting real-life details, pictures he'd scraped from social media profiles. He wasn't dangerous in a ghost story sort of way, but it was clear he'd crossed some serious ethical and legal lines. For all of us, the scariest part wasn't hearing about ghosts or curses. It was realizing how harmless this game we loved could be twisted into something invasive, something that took advantage of trust and friendship, and turned our private moments into data. We kept playing Minecraft after that, but none of us ever touched private servers again, and every so often, late at night, I think about that anonymous invite Chris got, and the quiet watcher in the shadows of a blocky world nobody really owned. It's funny, and maybe a little unsettling, to think that a game built to connect people can be used as a tool to study and manipulate them. It's just pixels and code, but the way it pulls you in, the way it makes you forget you're ever really being watched, well, that's where it becomes so dangerous. The voice in the party chat. After I graduated from high school that summer, things started to change with my friends. We all knew college was coming soon, and our schedules were becoming unpredictable. Maya was already working part-time, Liam was taking a summer course, and Jenna was interning downtown. We barely got to hang out in person anymore, so we found a new way to stay connected: late-night gaming sessions. It was easier for all of us to be online together when no one had to leave the house, and the hours after midnight felt like our own secret space. We played all sorts of stuff: co-op shooters, survival games that required teamwork, even some free-for-alls just to blow off steam. Maya and I started a private party chat to coordinate, and soon Liam and Jenna joined us. We'd usually get on around 11 p.m., run through a few rounds, and log off sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning. It was casual, it was fun, and it became a routine. One night, about 3 weeks into these sessions, something strange happened. We were into one of those new survival games, zombie-infested map, shelter building, that kind of thing. The usual 4 of us were on voice chat, talking strategy, joking around. Suddenly, I noticed the chat interface flicker, like a user had joined the voice channel. I checked the names. No one new should have been there. I said, "Hey, who just joined?" No answer. I asked again. Still nothing. Maybe a glitch? Jenna suggested, but Maya wasn't convinced. Check the user ID or whatever. Can you block or tick them? I clicked around and found an option to remove the user from the party chat. Before I could hit it, the voice came through the headphones. "Don't do that," the voice whispered, soft but clear. We all froze. The voice sounded distant, calm, but there was something off about it. "Who is this?" Liam said, his tone sharper now. No response. "Look, this isn't cool. We don't know you," Jenna said, a hint of irritation in her voice. The voice took a quiet breath. "I'm just someone who likes watching." Maya tightened her grip on the controller. "Watch what? Your games, your talks, your little plans, your fun." We all exchanged glances, the mood suddenly heavier. I tried to ease it. "Look, if you want to talk, just say hi. Otherwise, please leave us alone." Silence. Then the voice, almost with a smile you could hear, said, "Hi." Maya had almost dropped her controller. "Okay, what's your name?" "No name, just a guest." That night, we kicked the stranger out and changed all our privacy settings. We blocked incoming chat requests from unknown users and made our parties invite only. It felt like a dumb prank, but it didn't feel right. For a while, we thought that was the end of it. But the next week, the stranger was back. This time, just before midnight, while we were gearing up in a team deathmatch, the new voice joined again. "Hello, Alyssa," it said softly. My heart skipped. "How do you know my name?" I asked, voice steady even if my fingers trembled. "Many things are easy to find if you're looking," the stranger said. "You and Maya, you talk a lot about your plans after college." "Stop, you're creeping us out," Maya said. The stranger stayed silent, then said, "I like Maya's laugh. It's pretty." "Someone's been listening," Liam muttered. That's when Maya started to get nervous. "Should we report this?" Jenna said. "I already messaged support," I answered, but nothing's changed. We tried to ignore the stranger and keep playing, but the voice kept interrupting, humming songs we had sung in the chat before, repeating jokes only our group knew. It was like the person had been watching us, listening to everything. After a few nights, the messages started to feel more personal. "Your house is quiet tonight, Alyssa. I like quiet. Are you afraid of the dark? May I come closer?" I remember feeling a knot tighten in my stomach each time. I thought about logging off, but we all needed this space. It was the only place we all felt together. One night, around 2 a.m., Maya's voice cracked as she said, "Guys, I think he's outside." We paused. Silence. Maya explained that she heard footsteps on her porch. I told her to lock the doors. I turned to Liam. "Can you verify where we're all at? Let's make sure someone's home with each of us." We quickly checked in. Liam and Jenna were safe. Maya was home alone. I told her to call my number if she felt unsafe. The party chat went quiet for minutes. Then the stranger spoke. "Good night, Maya." Minutes later, Maya messaged us. "Someone rang my doorbell twice." I didn't answer. We all agreed Maya should call the police. The next day, Maya gave a description of the person who had walked near her house. Hooded figure, face partly covered. The police set up a patrol near her street but couldn't find anyone. Then we started getting messages from the stranger that weren't in chat. DMs on social media. Text to my phone, unknown number saying, "Nice house you have, and I watch you when no one's there." That's when I realized this had gone beyond the game. This wasn't just some creepy kid messing around. I went to the police with all the screenshots, recordings of the chat, IP addresses we could gather from the platforms we used, and the texts. After some investigation, they traced the online account back to a 23-year-old man living just a few blocks from Maya's house. He had no prior convictions but a history of related complaints. The police confirmed he had been following women in the neighborhood and trying to stalk them online. 2 days later, he was arrested. When they came to arrest him, the officers found surveillance equipment in his apartment and even a hacked router that seemed to pull feeds from nearby Wi-Fi networks. It was surreal. What felt like a safe, anonymous space, the late-night gaming sessions we shared, had been invaded by someone terrifying. This whole experience changed how I see the online world. What started as fun, easy ways to keep close with friends became a window for someone to watch, to learn our schedules, our voices, even the smallest details we shared. It wasn't some ghost or legend. It was real. Someone using technology to reach past the screen into our lives. We were lucky. The police acted, the man was caught. But it made me wonder, how often do people share their lives online, feeling safe, while someone else listens quietly from the shadows, waiting,